This is the plaintiff, Arthur Kissel. He says he agreed to rent an apartment from the defendants, but then suddenly and unexpectedly got laid off from his job and could no longer afford the place. He decided to be honest with the defendants, told them he couldn't move in, and when he asked for his money back, they told him tough. Tough? We'll see about that, because he has evidence which will blow this case wide open, and he's confident he's going to walk out with his money for sure. He's suing for $1,000, the money owed. These are the defendants, Joe and Rose Hopkins. Joe says they had 7 to a dozen people come look at the place they were renting, and they chose very carefully on the plaintiff, thinking it would be a good fit. Obviously, they were quite wrong, because he backed out at the last minute, leaving them high and dry. The plaintiff thinks he has a piece of evidence which is going to persuade the judge to rule in his favor, but they have a trick or two up their sleeve as well, and aren't worried. They're accused of not playing ball.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff signed up to rent an apartment and dropped out after putting the deposit down because he got laid off. He says he has secret evidence to show that the defendant did the wrong thing here, but the defendant says he has secret evidence too. It's the case of I can't keep a secret anymore.
All right, Arthur Kissel.
Yes.
You are suing Joe and Rose Hopkins, your almost landlords, for $1,000 security deposit that you gave them after you changed your mind and decided that you couldn't afford the apartment. Correct?
Close.
Close? Okay, you tell me what happened.
Early last year, I was working for a staffing agency, and I lived in New York City, and I was working on Long Island. In March of last year, I was told that my temporary assignment was going to become permanent the end of June. I had a very long commute by car, and I was looking for an apartment closer to where I was working. In April, I found an ad on Craigslist for the apartment that the Hopkins were renting. We talked on the phone. I went to look at it. I liked it. We liked each other. They're very nice people. Approximately a week later, on May 3rd, I gave them a cash deposit for $1,000.
No dispute about that, right? Okay.
I
got it. They agree. And then?
And I was going to move in between June 1st and June 15th.
Okay.
Shortly after that, the staffing agency that I
Shortly after what? After May 3rd?
After May 3rd.
Okay.
The staffing agency that I work for told me that the company changed their mind, that they weren't going to make the 5 drivers permanent.
Okay.
I called and spoke to Rose. I explained the situation.
So how long after giving them the $1,000 was this?
It was a week to 10 days.
Okay.
I spoke to Rose. Rose said it was too bad that I couldn't take the apartment, and that they couldn't give me the deposit back right away because they used it for something. Rose said in August they were expecting a check for something, and by September they would be able to give me the money back. The end of May, I didn't have a work assignment, so I was temporarily unemployed. Shortly after that, my landlord, where I was living on a month-to-month basis, gave me a 30-day notice to be out of the apartment by the middle of August. I called my agency, and I told them to get me a job driving over the road interstate, where basically I could just live in the truck.
Ugh.
September came and went, and I didn't hear from the defendants about the refund. But because all my things were in storage, I didn't have the receipt or the contact information anymore.
Oh, you didn't hear from him and you couldn't call him because
I didn't have the number.
Okay.
In March of this year.
So from September to March, you didn't figure yourself out?
Well, I was out on the road. When you drive, you can be out for 3 months at a time before you get home.
Yeah, but you're talking about 9 months, and then what happened? So you finally found a little piece of paper? That's what happened.
When I came back.
Just admit it, you found the little piece of paper.
I found the paper when I went to get my...
Okay, did you call them before you filed the lawsuit?
I was on the road, and I asked a friend of mine who's an attorney to send them a
Demand letter?
Yeah, fan letter.
No, not fan letter, demand letter.
A demand letter.
It's usually not a fan letter. It's usually
A demand letter asking them to contact me directly because that
Okay,
was,
bottom line, they didn't contact you, you didn't get the money, and that's why you're here. Or did they contact you?
I got a voicemail from Joe, which he started the voicemail by, "You didn't take the apartment, so why should we give you back the money?"
Oh,
At
okay.
that time,
Joe and Rose, are you guys on the same page?
No.
Okay. No, you're not on the same page with Joe?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay, because you got to go home with him, not him. Okay.
I know.
So what happened? According to him, he talks to you and you say, "No worries, I'm sorry, we don't have the money now, we'll give it to you in September." Did that happen?
No.
Okay, what did happen?
He called the end of June. He was supposed to move in July 1st. The last week in June, that's when he called. And he said to me, "I have bad news. I'm sorry. I lost my job. And to tell you the truth, I can't take the apartment. I'm probably going to have to move to Arizona." I said, "I can't give you the money back." I said, "I put it into the apartment thinking you're coming." I said, "And now you want," I said, "I'll talk to my husband, call me back." Your Honor, he never called back.
Right.
Never called back. So all this time later, it was about 6 or 8 months, we get a letter from a lawyer, just a regular mail letter saying that he wanted his $1,000 back.
Let me see the letter.
I don't have
Do you have it?
I have a copy here. I didn't see the letter that he sent.
That's we never heard from again. We never heard from again, Your Honor, and
I just
we
had
just
it.
took the.
Tell me about the place that you're renting out. Were you used the phrase first-time renters, like you'd never rented out?
No, it was.
Okay.
It's a basement.
Uh-huh.
And it's an all new renovated kitchen. It's like a studio apartment, huge bathroom, and we tried not
Washer
to rent
and
it.
dryer.
Right, we tried not to
Living
rent
room,
it.
bedroom.
We kept it, for family parties and stuff like that. But since the taxes are getting high and
Right.
we're both retired, we needed the extra income.
Are you zoned for two-family?
As far as I know, we have
Yes.
2 kitchens because it was a joke when I went down.
I know, but was that permitted work?
Oh, yeah. When the guy came in, yes.
So does a person who owns a house have to get a permit in order to rent out, say, the basement or part of the house?
Yes, I do.
Why would you say? I thought a man's home is his castle.
It is not. I believe the city has to have give authorization to the owner.
If the landlord tries it and he does need a certificate and he gets caught, does he have to return all the money that he took?
No, he shouldn't have to return all the money that he took.
Even if he did the wrong thing in the first place by renting it out?
I think the house is yours. You can do with it whatever you want
You
to.
believe it. Man's home is his house. And you also sound like you're from Texas.
I'm from Georgia.
Okay, same thing. Going inside the courtroom.
I'm asking because you don't really have a permit to rent out the basement. You have to. It has to be zoned to family, which you can get it. You can do things, but you have to do things. The city has to come in. They have to inspect it. They have to make sure there's 2 forms of ingress and egress. That there's that everything works. That it's safe. That it's wired right. All that stuff, and that is what you have to do if you want to be able to keep the security deposit as rent.
Okay.
Did you guys do that?
We went down to town hall for another reason.
Yeah.
And they said we're zoned for 2 kitchens, 2 full kitchens. And I assume that is
And
okay.
We took that as meaning, yes, it's a legal 2-family home.
You can't have 2 families living there unless you're zoned for 2 families. I mean, you could have 2 kitchens in a house.
That's true.
Right. You could have 8 kitchens in a house if
Especially
that's
if
your
you're
pleasure.
Italian,
You can't keep it for rent. You can't keep it for rent. If you want to be able to rent it out, you have to go through legal channels to be able to keep it out. This is typically a case where I would look at him and say, too bad, so sad, you broke the lease. You had a verbal, even if you didn't have a written lease, you had a verbal agreement to take the place, and then you changed your mind, so you got to give it up. I do this every day. I do that. You can't just change your mind. They govern themselves accordingly. But in your case, you can't. If he sells you cocaine, and you don't pay him for the cocaine, and then he comes to court and says, breach of contract, make them pay me, the courts are not going to get involved in helping him recover his money for his sale of cocaine. Why? Because the sale of cocaine is illegal, right? It's the same concept with housing laws. If you can't rent it out, I'm not going to help you get rent. My verdict is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh, Rose, what happened?
Well, she's really a nice judge, and we will have to check it out if we decide to rent it again. You know, but
Right.
we thought it was 2 kitchens. We thought it was okay.
Well, 2 kitchens, that was a good point the judge made to you, and you agree that
Yeah.
you can have 3 kitchens
That's
if you
true,
want in your house.
especially if you're Italian.
Right, okay. So you have, are you going to get it zoned for?
Once again, I had nothing
Well-
to say.
You got something?
I didn't even get to talk. But okay, that's not unusual.
Okay, then head right down this
Not
way.
unusual at all.
Enjoy your day. Okay, sir, so what do you think of the outcome in this case?
I'm happy with the outcome. I'm sorry it had to come to this. They're very nice people, and I really wish I would have been able to rent the apartment from them.
Yeah, did you have any problem in trying to get this money back in the way you were treated? Did you have an issue there? Or was it just strictly about
I think
the
it was
illegality? of the
I
place?
think it was strictly a misunderstanding and the legality of the place ultimately.
All right, so is your living arrangement okay now?
Yes, it is.
All right, Harvey?
So here's the thing. If the guy actually moved in and lived there and then sued to get his rent back, the judge probably would not have given him his rent money back because he actually ended up getting real value for the place. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.